I hate fees. There, I said it. I hate additional fees, whether I'm booking on a B&B site or if I'm traveling via an airplane and all of a sudden the price that's shown is not the price that I'm paying, because on top of taxes, I have to pay these crazy fees that I don't even understand what they're for most of the time, and I have to click on the blue and read about it to even get an idea if I have the time, and it's just, fees, right? But ultimately, fees are part of any business, and when we're choosing to decide what our pricing is going to be for our business, we need to decide what our pricing structure is going to be, and that will include fees, whether it's late fees, last minute cancellation fees, multi-pet fees, custom home care fees, booking fees, travel fees, gas fees, the list goes on and on ultimately. So what ultimately do we decide, and how much and how do we decide to do it to make sure our clients still want to book with us, still respect our company, and then ultimately sometimes fees are there to avoid bad behavior, so people don't want to pay the fee, so they won't do what that fee is for. So let's talk about that today. If we haven't met already, my name is Amber Van Denzen. I am the owner and founder of Attaboy Animal Care, pet sitting and dog walking for the past 9 years, a 6-figure pet sitting business with a team of over 15 employees, and veterinary technician of 13 years, animal science degree, all that fun stuff. But let's talk about those fees and let's get started. First and foremost, when deciding what kind of pricing structure you're going to do for your business, you need to look at all aspects, and you ultimately need to know how much in the end you need to make for profit. So what's going to go to overhead, what's going to go to profit, and what that needs to look like. Some people choose for a company's pet sitting business fees to be all inclusive. That was pretty routine back in the day, that I charge X amount of dollars for X amount, for that visit, or that's worth X amount of time, and then that's your fee. Since it's a service-based industry in the United States, more often than not, you're not having to charge tax, like sales tax, on those services, since it is a service-based and you're not selling an actual good itself. So more often than not, what people do is you say, hey, I charge $30 for a 30-minute visit, and what they look at is that's exactly what you told them. They're getting charged $30 for a 30-minute visit, so that calculates to $1 per minute. But in actuality, let's be real, that $30 is not just for the 30 minutes you're actually on the property. It's for the drive time to and from. It's for the prep and the scheduling and the notes that you have to look over, and your software and your insurance and your bonding and your goodies that you may give them, and your community service that you benefit and give out to local, charities and whatnot. And of course, profit, the stuff that needs to go in your bank account so you can survive. So when you're looking at all-inclusive pricing, one, you have to look at your wording first of all and make sure they understand what that $30 actually includes. And it's not just based off of the 30 minutes. Or on top of it, you need to figure out what kind of fees you'll be charging on top of it. So let's talk about the most common fees that pet sitters charge while doing pet sitting visits. The first one is for medication. Most pet sitters will charge additional if they have to provide and give medication. Why? I'm assuming I'm gonna call it a PETA fee, a pain in the ass fee. It's a pain in the ass to have to give medications, have to record medications, have to make sure you're giving the right medications, put those in the notes. So additionally, it's a stress ball. You also have to make sure your staff is additionally trained to give those medications, so that may have cost you more to train them to give said medications, especially when you get into more unique medications such as insulin, inhalers, breathing treatments, things of that sort, fluids, etc. You may be hiring veterinary technicians or veterinary nurses to do that, so they're going to charge more, or you're going to pay them more because of their expertise. Do all companies do that? No. Do we do that at Pet Attaboy? No. Why? Because I only care what we're doing. I only care about how long we're there, not what we're doing actually. So that's another concept. The second most common fee is a late scheduling fee. So before the visit, X amount of time before the first visit that they want, if it's less than that time, you charge an additional fee, because usually you have to manually put it in the software. It may have to reschedule drive routes. You may have to pay more to your sitters to do it because it is last minute and they had to rearrange their schedules. So you charge that client. Most often it is a last minute fee, is usually 2 days before the service booking that you would charge an additional fee. How we do it is in our software. It doesn't allow them to book if it's less than 2 days prior. So we actually have to manually put that in, so that offsets our office fee charge. Now before, these could be anywhere between $5 and $10. I'm seeing a lot of companies charge more than that, and we're even contemplating that because there's been so many last minute fee bookings and its requests are so stressful, and then we want to avoid them doing that because they've been used to it pre all this chaos of our life, that now we're trying to avoid that. So those fees could even be $20 to $25 per invoice if you really wanted to try to deter that choice of the client. On the alternative is the cancellation fees. Now these can get really difficult and very, very complicated. I've seen cancellation fees take an effect based off of the day that they cancel versus the day that the first service is. So if it's 1 week before, it's zero money back. If it's 2 weeks before, 50%. 3 weeks before, 75%, etc. So, and then others say, it's a 100% non-refundable, non-transferable fee or cost, and you are not getting any of that money back once you book, unless it's like an act of God situation, as they label it. What you need to do and how you choose to do that is based off of how your company works ultimately. An alternative is you also can charge differently for vacation-based pet sitting versus your daily dog walking clients. And if you can say daily dog walking clients, you have 2 days prior to cancel, but vacations, you have 1 or 2 weeks prior to cancel, because it's a lot more intensive to get multiple of those visits booked and scheduled and covered versus your daily dog walking clients. So that is a consideration as well. The third type of fee that is most common is a multi-pet, or after X amount of pets, we charge additional per head of pet. The most common is more than 2 pets gets an additional $5 to $10 per pet. Now, usually they'll bulk in small animals. So if you have like a flock of chickens, that'll be considered 1 pet. Or if you have a couple sets of aquariums, if they're simple, that'll be considered 1 pet. Others do it by aquarium, or others do it by cage for smaller animals. Some don't charge for small animals, so anything that's not a cat or dog, and others charge for per head for cats or dogs, or like farm animals only per head. Why? The concept is it's going to take more time. You have more software, that you have to fill out, more notes you have to know, more animals that you have to oversee. So again, that PETA tax, ultimately, that pain in the ass fee. I have a lot more pets and a lot more responsibility. Even if it's the same amount of time, I'm going to charge more for that. A lot of companies are doing away with that and doing more all-inclusive animals. We don't care how many pets you have. We care about how long we're going to be there, and charge based off of timed-based visits to avoid that and to promote clients that want large pet families and to rescue pet families or whatever. But those are potential fee options. The next is a booking fee. Now, when a client requests visits, usually on software nowadays, if you don't via however you do it manually, it takes time to put that in a calendar somewhere, approve it, click those buttons, figure out which staff is going to be covering it, maybe putting in notes of first and last visit, second to last visit, since that's the most common visit to cancel is the last visit because they got home early, trash and recycling days, whatever important medical notes you may need to put in for each visit. That takes time. And sometimes one service, I think we timed it one time, and even one visit can take upwards of 10 to 15 minutes to book based off of how long it takes for you to reach out to a staff person, get that information back, put in any notes, press schedule, press invoice, send that email, etc. And so that needs to be charged. A lot of the time, smaller companies that are individual persons or 1 or 2 type staff persons, the owner is the operator as well and is doing that. So they're not paying or charging for their time. And what ends up happening is when they eventually want to grow and scale their business to a 6-figure business or more, 7 figures is a great goal too. Heck yeah. That they then realize when they have to pay a staff person to do this, where is that money coming from? Because the pet sit visit fees alone for that, say 30 for 30 is not going to cover that overhead as much as you expected. So what comes in is a booking fee. Now think companies like B&B companies or hotel companies that they charge a booking fee. This is to basically cover your overhead for your office staff or whomever that may be to do that actual booking. And usually that's non-refundable, non-transferable, even if they cancel the service, because you already put in that time and effort to put in the booking. There's no reason why that money should not be paid out. Now, some software does not support this and it gets a lot more complicated. You end up having to put like a debt onto the client's account for the next set of services. It's difficult to get them to pay. They get pissy. You could lose clients because of it. So you need to be careful on how you set up that policy. Now, how much do you charge for a booking fee? Good question. Some do it based off of a percentage of the total invoice. Some give a bulk number per invoice. Some do it, say, if it's under X amount of $500, $0 to $500, it's this much, $500 to $1,000, it's this much, etc. We do a booking fee, and it's a percentage of the total invoice. The next and last fee that I'll probably talk about today is travel or gas fee, especially in modern day where our gas prices are going upwards of $5 right now in the United States per gallon, which is almost double where it was, or no, less than double, maybe 30%, 40% increase from last year. It gets expensive, especially depending on what type of vehicle that you have for you or your staff or whatever they have, or company vehicles you may have. So because of that, a to and from visit to a client can easily add up to $4 to $5 in gas alone, depending on your service area, traffic, all that fun stuff. So how do you do that? Some people do short-term gas fees for crisis modes like this, that when gas gets over X amount of dollars a gallon, a gas fee is automatically enacted per visit. Others do it across the board. Others include it in their all-inclusive cost of per visit charges, so it's kind of filtered in. Some companies have to pay gas stipends or gas mileage towards their client staff. Others don't, but choose to, so they have to factor that in. And if we think about it for a split second, let's do that math. If I go on a visit that is 10 miles away and my vehicle, let's say on the worst end, unless it's a massive truck, gets 21 miles a gallon, that means to and from the visit, 10 plus 10 is 20. So let's just round that up to 21 miles. That cost us $5 in gas to get to that visit. So ultimately, whatever you're charging minus $5 for gas. Now you can say, hey Amber, though, at the end of the year, I can do tax mileage deduction. Well, some of you can, not everybody. Some employee statuses can't do that. Independent contractors can. Depends on if it's only one visit only that day, or if you've had multiple visits back to back, because if the first visit of the day, you can't. So how do you offset that cost? Because when you're asking a pet sitter to do a visit and say you're charging them or paying them $10 for that visit, half of that's going to gas right now. So realistically, they're getting $5 to be there for 30 minutes. That doesn't quite make sense. So that's where a gas fee, or a travel fee as some people call it, can be included in your invoices or per visit, or just raising your rates. Now that is the last concept. Let's talk about that. Instead of doing all these fees, you can ultimately just do your overall rate increase, and those fees are included ultimately and cover anything that may arise, or some of those fees are covered and other of those are not. So you have to think about how you want to be portrayed to your clientele and how difficult you want to make it when you're doing all this invoicing and math, or is your software doing it for you, and what specifications you have when choosing what fees or types of overall payment charges that you're doing to your clients. So it can get very complicated. I'm curious of what fees you definitely will do and fees you definitely won't do, or fees that I didn't mention that may be great thought processes too. Well, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope forward to talking to you soon. And as I always say, happy pets, happy people. Be sure to follow us, like, share, and comment. Bye-bye.